Hi, welcome to the bi-weekly SIG contributor experience meeting. Today is the 14th of September. As every other Kubernetes community meeting, this too follows the Kubernetes and CNCF code of conduct, which boils down to be excellent to each other. And this meeting is being recorded and will be posted online. So please be mindful of that. Considering we don't have new faces here, we can skip the new contributor intro and dive into the agenda items. So events, we have community meeting. Laura has,
Oh,
there is a link here.
perfect timing.
Oh, awesome.
Was that perfect timing stated for me?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
I'm trying to start everything up. Had a slight pupper accident. If this is about the community meeting, I think I just realized this morning that the third Thursday is tomorrow, not next week. So, yeah, I just realized that. We certainly can have it. I don't really have any topics and I have not gotten anything planned, but I certainly can host it. So if y'all are good with that, we can run with it, but I'm guessing we'll just talk about Contributor Summit, remind people it's happening, chat about it, and call it.
A general discussion about the enhancements process actually would be timely.
I was gonna say that's the other really big thing right now is that the enhancements submission process is completely changed.
And on top of which, I'm not sure that everybody really understood the previous process. So
correct.
Do y'all know who I should ping to come beyond to be the expert?
Yeah, let's see. Definitely both Ray and Grace.
Okay, I will ping them both.
Who are the chairs of enhancements?
Mark Rossetti too.
Yeah,
he's been doing a lot of the automation work.
Okay, I will go find that, and we will have our community meeting tomorrow about that then. I'll let people bring topics to the floor. I think it'll be fine.
And what would be a good thing is not only to talk about the changes, but to actually have somebody go sort of end to end on what the process is. Because like I said, I don't think a lot of people understood the old process. And so, you know, a sort of, these are the things that change doesn't actually help them a lot.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, I will, we can have the community meeting on that. And I will figure all this out because, yeah, I saw on my calendar this morning, I'm like, wait a minute. Those two community meetings should be off by a week from each other. I'm hosting one today for a different community. And then I was like, it should be next. Oh, no. Okay.
Do you need help throwing this together at all, or are you good?
I might.
Okay, I'm here.
A couple other topics. It'd be good to get an update on the election. I don't know if Josh, well, I keep forgetting you're not on the election committee at this time, but like having someone from the election committee just give a little like update, like Dims, Caslin, other Noah, like how many people have voted, please vote, come on, please vote.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
The reminders about the summit and the registration in CFP.
Yeah. Okay.
Is we have like sort of an extended deadline for swags type stuff and other like getting the supply chain stuff in on this Friday.
Makes sense. Okay. I will bug people to do that as part of the community meeting. I don't know if there's necessarily like a discussion that needs to be had as much as just that'll be part of the announcements of please do that. Maybe the voting discussion might be good in terms of just a reminder, but then say, do you know who's running? Do you know how to vote? That might be actually a really good discussion to have for a lot of the newer contributors, even though the information is there.
Yeah, it's like here's how to go to, you know, Electo and all that fun stuff.
Right, just so people know it's there. Okay, I will get something together. We will have a community meeting tomorrow, one way or the other. that's my only updates. Just that Laura doesn't know how to calendar. Basically,
Calendars are awful.
mine's getting worse. But it's all good. That's my updates. So
I have
Unless
fun
y'all have
playing
something.
calendar Jenga.
I now
So
have
it-
like 4 calendars and I don't know what happened. Like each calendar then has sub calendars. And people keep dropping things on them. And I'm like, wait, where did that meeting come from? How did this happen? Who
Well,
started scheduling stuff there?
Yeah, Amy
Anyway.
pointed out to me that just because you fill in all the rows doesn't mean that it disappears. It's not Tetris.
I'm like quadruple booked sometimes. It's not fun.
Mhm.
But anyway. Yay, calendars.
Yeah. Thanks, Laura, and like calendars are awful. And
Mhm.
so Contributor Summit, I think Bob mentioned that people need to register ASAP and submit stuff for the CFP. I think comms also went out on KDev earlier this week.
What are we at for registration?
Around 140, if I recall. Give me one sec. Actually, going back to the community meeting stuff, Madhav, is the granular approved stuff ready to show off at all?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
You mean for the community meeting or at KubeCon?
For singing community meeting. But
Oh,
it,
that's not
it
yet.
might be something else to show off at the contributor summit if it'd be ready by then.
Yeah, we're pushing for Contributor Summit, so hopefully they're done by then. Okay, any other updates in events? Okay. Mentoring, Meta contributors, as we know, it's been archived unless the office hours that's been going on stops bringing in new folks. But like other than that, anyone has any updates, questions, concerns, comments on mentoring?
Really the only thing going on right now, I think, well, ContribEx is the only one running the leadership mentorship like circle right now. Or I think SIG CLI and SIG apps are doing another one.
Yeah.
I don't know their status update.
So they have kicked off. There have been, last I checked, 1 or 2 of these meetings that they have. The cohort is formed, the channels are formed, and the folks respond. I think Athar was working with Paris on that, and like they've kicked off 1 or 2 sessions now. So like good to see that it's happening. I haven't followed up or kept track of where it is at this point, but yeah. Okay.
Sonny, no.
I think that's the best update so far.
Sunny status in trouble.
Okay. Community management. Are there any updates here? Or questions, comments?
I don't think so. Things are kind of just chugging along. Oh, Marky is doing like reaching out to all the YouTube moderators to just like touch base with all of them and trying to figure out like a rotation of people to handle that instead of the current sort of ad hoc nature that often just winds up falling down to one person to do it. So if you are a YouTube admin, there's a thread in K community on it. I can grab that link in just a sec. I think that's mostly it. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say for that is that we'll end up wanting to recruit some new admins, because what's happening through this process is Mark is contacting people and they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize I was still signed up for that. I can't do it." So for anybody who can help with that and wants to step up, contact Marky.
I'm hoping to move to emeritus myself.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Are there any other updates for community management? Okay. Marketing. Do we have anyone from marketing over here? Or does anyone know of any updates that should be discussed?
Chris, are you still attending the marketing meetings, or have you? I know you need to step away from that for a bit.
Maybe we come back.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Doug.
Contributor docs. Are there any updates here?
The contributor site. This is mostly for the update on the contributor workshop. Craig, I know you've been working with Eric and them. Do you have a quick update on that side of things?
My update is that let me just check real quick my Slack message that I haven't gotten to yet. It's in my queue. Yeah, actually you're on this thread too. So looks like there's been some progress on putting together so the sessions and objectives for the training course. I haven't reviewed it completely myself, so I can't provide much detail there. Other than that, I don't have much updates. I do know there was some discussion about the list of activities and sort of learning outcomes. But unfortunately, I wasn't directly involved. That's hearsay, so I don't know what the status of that is.
I have not synced with Eric and Joel lately either, just because of travel.
Got it. So I unfortunately I was not in any of those direct discussions.
The last conversation I had with them is that they still thought they were going to be on track to get it out the door for KubeCon. And my apologies for the session objectives thing. Let me share it with the ContribEx list. Okay, you might have to refresh, but it should be available. They basically took the old new contributor workshop course and some of our other material and are turning it into a self-paced, or new contributor workshop slides and turning it into a self-paced course that will be published on cates.dev.
Have there been any developments in the GitHub thing for build environment.
Do you mean code spaces?
Yeah.
Take it
Chris
away.
started looking at it, and we had a sidebar discussion about sort of the vision for how that might work. And I don't know, Chris, what you're thinking on it at this point.
I mean, I think it makes a good sense. Sorry, I had geriatric dog issues. Josh, what was your question or statement or whatever?
Oh, whether or not there'd been any developments in the last 2 weeks on setting up GitHub code spaces to use for new contributor build environments.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Craig laid it out to me, and it makes total sense to do it this way. It actually seems easier than Katacoda in theory. Because I know Katacoda had some quirks around just configuration and syntax and all that fun stuff. So this seems a little bit more cut and dry in the sense of all you need is a README and a code space that's configured correctly. So we can vend that out pretty much to anyone, right, Craig?
That's right. Once it's available to everyone, which
Right.
will happen, unfortunately, several.
A while from now.
I'll just say not exactly contemporaneous with KubeCon, but sometime in a not
Right.
huge amount of time after KubeCon. So that's the challenge that I have, is that our actual release for access to everyone is not prior to KubeCon.
Which I think is fine. But if we build something before KubeCon, we'll have something to show off when it is released.
Demo is perfectly
Yeah.
real, and I can make it available to everyone on this list and any other list, just not generally available.
So who is working with you on building these? Anybody? Or is it?
Well, the last I heard was that Deborah Brada was going to be
Okay.
doing some work on that, but he's been tied up in some other things and hasn't been able to do that. One of my colleagues was chatting with Deborah about it directly, and there's another person whose name is escaping me, who's on the Kubernetes release. Yeah, that could be
Ray.
it. Who was also interested in contributing. Somebody else who's also in India. But right now, my biggest challenge is I could actually do the work, but I don't know the content. I don't have access to what content was available. And
we still have the repos though, don't we, Bob?
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
I couldn't find them. So if somebody wants to give me the repos, I'd gladly raise my hand and do the labor.
So we were working with someone for LFX back when Katacoda was still, alive, to create these scenarios and content for new contributors. And that repo is available with all of the content in it still.
If you could share that repo with me or make me a collaborator on it, that would be
for
amazing.
sure. Let me just link it in the notes and you can check it out once.
Perfect.
I'd also just create a thread on ContribEx Slack channel and CC the person who worked on this so that everyone has context. Thanks.
Thank you very
That's awesome.
much.
Perfect. So yeah, I think Craig, if you got questions once we get this content, like we can work on that together with everybody else from India and so forth, right?
Excellent. Yeah, that works perfectly. And I may actually write a blog about it too, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, we can totally have a blog go up someplace.
Yeah. I don't recall what's in the Katacoda stuff itself, but like honestly, if it's just like giving a quick here's make target and run test, like that should be pretty good. I think that's what we've generally done in the workshop itself, is just a quick little overview of what this stuff is and like the basics you use for doing the very, very general stuff.
Right. You still have the contributor playground, right?
Yep, that still exists.
That's still I think that's a valuable component here as well. So
yeah, that one is the PR process itself. The code spaces, it would be more for like, here
building,
is
testing, running. Yeah,
exactly. So like if we can show like, here's how to build, here's how to introduce a small change, and here's how to test.
Yeah, that's so I remember the last thing that they worked on was given I make a change on KK, how do I spin up a cluster using kind and test it out myself and run tests on it? So all of that is documented in the repository. So feel free to take a look.
Perfect. That's exactly what I need.
Yep.
And that works perfectly for the scenario I was imagining enabling.
Yeah, I've linked the repo in the notes.
Okay.
awesome.
Sure, I have access.
Thank you.
I know I started, but I realized that I have like thousands of starred repos now.
There it is.
Okay, any other updates, questions, comments around contributor documentation, contributor guide and developer guide? Okay.
Just to comment on the contributor guide, because the non-code contributor guide is falling under that. There should be a meeting time coming very soon after enough people have submitted to the doodle poll that we had. But I do not expect, based on what's happening over the next few weeks, that meetings will happen before KubeCon.
Awesome. Thanks, Noah. Okay, so next is GitHub Management. So I have one update, which is so Christoph created a PR, I think late last week, early this week, not sure when, but like the PR is to enable the use of other triage labels. So right now, whenever you create an issue or a PR, the issue or PR automatically gets tagged with needs triage. And that needs triage only can be removed if you apply a triage accepted one, a triage accepted label. There are other triage labels such as unresolved, needs more information, and so on and so forth. So what this PR basically does is if you apply any triage label, it will get rid of the needs triage thing that exists. Plus, and more importantly, it also introduces a few bots which basically do a periodic sweep of already closed issues and PRs and like removes needs triage from them, because when you filter on GitHub based on this label, it gets a little messy. And this basically completes the functionality of it. So feedback from ContribEx is, important here, mainly because introduction of those new bots over there, and like if what the label the bot is applying is the correct one to do so, and if it's the right way to do so, and so on and so forth. I took a pass at the PR earlier this week. It looks good to me so far, but I may be missing some context here, or if there are any other concerns.
The big thing is we will definitely want to communicate that change, or ask feedback from the broader community on it, because that does technically change the triage process of everyone doing stuff in KK.
Okay, yeah.
If I recall correctly from that PR, because it's any triage label will then remove the needs triage label, right?
Yes.
Yeah. When we were initially doing this, the original feedback was people wanted to be able to apply the other labels as sort of like indicators of like what what they needed, and the needs triage got it on their, like, basically to come back and check. That might have changed at this point. Now that people are a bit more used to actually applying the triage labels. So I would definitely, before merging it, just send out, the request for feedback from the community at large. I'm personally impartial. Like, I was originally in the camp of any triage label should remove it, but enough people voiced around,
What is our full set of triage labels?
1 sec.
Because we might be in a situation, honestly, where some triage labels should remove it and other ones shouldn't.
So you have unresolved, duplicate, accepted, needs information, and not reproducible.
So needs information feels like it should not. Well, no, it's still been triaged at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, what people were doing was using, they left the needs triage and triage needs information on there just as an indicator of, like, we have not accepted this yet until, like, we are not looking at this issue, not accepting more work until more information is posted. But yeah, that's why, like, before just rolling this out, I would, make sure that there is community consensus on this. This would actually be another great item for the community meeting tomorrow as well.
Okay, so just the whole thing in
Uh,
general, or is there something specific?
So
don't
I
know.
would say feedback on changing of the triage. Applying any triage label will remove the needs triage status.
Okay. And who
And
who am I pinging to make sure people are going to be here?
Christoph mainly.
Christoph, okay.
Yeah, I'll also be there.
Yeah,
just in case.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I know it's late for you.
Okay. I will ping you both. Alrighty.
Okay. Any other updates on GitHub management or comments, concerns?
Actually, I do have one other thing. I know Nikita was working on this, and I know a couple of people on the call applied. Do we know the status of the new member coordinator? Because there was a call for additional ones out a while ago, and I don't think there has been completed follow-up.
Oh no, I thought I had missed a memo or something on that. Eek.
I missed that entirely.
There was a form and everything that went out to the ContribEx list, but I don't think that the follow-up has happened. Okay, I will look into that.
Awesome. Okay, open mic discussion. Any other items or questions, comments, concerns around anything?
Craig had an item, if you look at the agenda.
Yeah, I was just asking if there's been any research that I'm not aware of into friction that new contributors face when they come to Kubernetes and ecosystem projects.
Oh, you got stories.
I'm sure we have stories. I'd love to.
Yeah,
Are they written
Wait
down
for
is the
them.
better question.
right, yeah.
Exactly.
If you're willing to look historically, we have the annual developer Kubernetes contributor surveys.
Yeah,
We
that would
haven't
be
done one now for
Years.
2 years, I think.
Yeah.
But the ones that we did were actually pretty consistent as to where people were experiencing problems. So follow up with me on Slack and we can delve into the data for that.
okay. I appreciate that. I will reach out.
So
Does it, given
And-
that it's
and for
been
that
that
matter-
while, does it make
and by the
sense
way-
to do a new one?
yeah, by the way, the reason why we have not done a new one was specifically that we didn't really have any new questions to ask. So part of this will be you can look at it, and if you find data that is missing, that you really would like to have, then we can start the process for a new contributor survey.
Okay, great.
We discussed it earlier this year, and it was like, well, we don't really have anything big we're looking for answers on. And the previous two surveys pretty much had very similar results. And honestly, we've discovered that there need to be new questions to get people to fill it out in the first place. If it's the same set of questions we do every year, people tend not to fill it out.
Yeah. Some general like themes is it's complicated and big and hard to like, what does this mean?
Yeah, I mean, that data is useful even if it is sort of intuitively obvious.
Yeah. Also, by the way, related to this, we're going to be putting out a CNCF wide contributor survey that specifically has questions around friction points. Now that won't be done until after KubeCon. Although we're going to launch it next week. So data from that will also be useful because that will include some Kubernetes contributors.
Yeah, makes sense.
Is that part of contributor strategy?
Contributor strategy is doing it together with CNCF marketing.
Okay.
So yeah, and what contributor strategy wanted to get out of it is exactly your question: where are people running into blockers?
Perfect.
Where
Maybe I
contributor
should
strategy is
go-
actually a little bit more interested in non-Kubernetes because we actually already have some data on Kubernetes and we have like no data about most of the other projects.
Makes sense. I was not even aware of this tag. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah. Think ContribEx, but for the CNCF.
That was the idea.
Yep.
Although there's some different concerns.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other items for the open mic discussion? Oh, yeah. Now that Chris is back, would you happen to have any updates around marketing? Are you still attending those meetings?
Yes, I'm still attending the
Okay.
meetings. Most recent updates are we're working on individual role guides, role books, and all the Twitter automation is happening lovely. So feel free to submit tweets either, by tagging us at contributor comms or by going through the GitHub process. Both of those will still work. There's no process change other than some automation has been added.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, last call. Any last updates, concerns? Awesome. Okay, 18 minutes of your time back. Thanks all for joining, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you
Thanks.
all.
Later.